And we live. Well, hello, and welcome to My Heart on Pages. I am so excited to be here. I am Laquita Parks, your host, and I know it's nighttime, it's bedtime where Sharon is, but I am so excited to have her as a guest today. But I am Laquita Parks, and I am the CEO and founder of Pay Pro V Publishing. And Pay Pro V is Pain, Progress, Victory, because I believe without pain, there is no progress, and without progress, there can be no victory. So, what I do is help people take their stories from a thought to a realization. And you know what, Sharon, we talked about this before. 100% of everybody living and dead has a story. It doesn't matter who you are, where you have a story. And there are people who are waiting for your story so that they can get healing from their story. So, My Heart on Pages, we're all about the story. We talk about the why behind your book project. So, I am based here in the USA, in Georgia. And I am going to get out of the way so we can meet Sharon and find out about her book project and where she's from. And Sharon want to know the why behind it. So before we get started, I want you to tell the listeners and tell the viewers who you are and where you're from.
My name is Sharon Griffiths. Can you see me?
I can see you just fine.
And I live in Essex, in England, near London.
Wow.
The east of London, in a little town called Rayleigh. It goes right back to the Doomsday Book. The Vikings invaded, and that is me. And I've written a couple of books, but also contributed to a few others as well.
Okay. And so what made you want to write your book? First of all, tell us the name, and you have more than one.
I do.
So tell us the name of your book. Tell us about The First Place.
The First Place. There are two, actually. Right. So The First Place is co-authored by myself and my co-author, Alex Sakala. Okay. We are both entrepreneurs, property investors, and we invest in property. We also have as our highest values. One of them is lifelong learning and curiosity and wanting to help people. And education and creating awareness is one way of doing this. We do other things together as well. And in the books, there's two books that have been written as part of the First Place series. And in those books are 24 questions that beginners, very common questions that beginners ask when they start out in business and particularly in property investing. And at some point we were all beginners. So what we did was we asked over 50 people if they would like to write a book with us or contribute to a book. We interviewed 55 and we've got 50 that said yes to the end. So we have in those books, with an approach like Napoleon Hill took when he did his research in success and wealth, 50 answers to 24 questions. Wow. And in those books, those two books, on the theme of what is the best learning, education and training for me, you have hundreds or thousands of golden nuggets to help people.
And so what's important too is that you're in London, but this is universal. So education it's universal. So how did you go about selecting the people? Did you randomly say, okay, did you send out a mass email or post it on social media? How did you go about selecting the people to answer the questions for the book?
The process was very simple. We wanted to ask people, we only wanted to ask 8 people at the beginning, 8 people, so that would make 10 with us, who were helpful in terms of helping people in property and learning, who were experts in their field, loved what they were doing and were successful at what they'd done. We also wanted them to have investing in the tree of life so that they could do what they wanted to do, invested in finding their mission and their highest values, but also invested in the specific subject that they were interested in, so they could apply what they wanted to do. And I started to learn about property investing from 2017. So in my previous job, I used to recruit tutors to deliver all sorts of courses. So naturally, as I went along from a beginner in this business of property investing, I found helpful people, or they found me. So I just collected names and followed them on the internet and met them. They hadn't got a clue what was happening. And then after we agreed that certain people had met her criteria, we asked them, would you like to be in a book? So initially it was going to be 8. But then every time we got near to 8, I said, oh, there's more people. So we asked more people. And as we increased in confidence, we asked people that were more experienced, because initially we wanted to have people that were a couple of years ahead of the beginners, so they could relate to them. But then we realized that there was even more value from asking more experienced, kind, helpful, successful people. So that's what we did.
Well, you know what? I like that you said you reached out to people who were knowledgeable. So I like that. And one thing that I've learned is people who have knowledge, they like to share. Most people who have knowledge like to share. There are some people who are hoarders of information, but for the most part, there are people who have knowledge and they've been successful in something. They really do want to share it. So I like that you said that. So what were some of the questions that you asked?
Some of the questions, out of the 24 questions, let me find them. Here we are. What are the best courses to go on? How do I know what to say yes to? What type of networking event should I go to?
Oh, so I like that. Let me ask you a question. So what was some of the answers? How do you know what to say yes to? Because I know this is talking about property investing, but that can be anything. How do you know? Give us a tip on how do you know what to say yes to in the world in general when you're trying to make a decision on something. What's a good rule of thumb for knowing what to say yes to? Because that can kind of be difficult.
Yeah, and many of them, I mean, the same messages are coming through, but many of them said, well, it's also good to know what to say no to. So I've opened the book here at one of my mentors that I invested in through my training. How do I know what to say yes to do? That's a really difficult one, because again, everything is much about each individual person. I think some of the people who sell property courses are extremely good at selling things. So I would probably say you should start at your default setting at no, and then work your way up to yes, as opposed to the other way around. I know that sounds pretty negative, but I just feel I've seen quite a lot of people have allowed themselves to be misled and have been lured into a false sense of security, thinking if I say yes to this, I will achieve. What you actually need to do is graft your ass off, and then you will achieve. So that's my cynical answer, that one.
You know what?
So
I like that.
One person.
I like that because that makes a lot of sense.
One person, a lady here who I met on a training course, she became very prolific in serviced accommodation, unique system. I think you should be confident that you can resonate with the person's situation course that is right for you, and that you won't get pushed into everything. Always take time to think, and I think some of it is down to gut feeling. Obviously, everything is underlined by due diligence. So there's a couple of people there, but there's 48 other people who give responses.
Now, what the other person said, sometimes we're lured into a false sense of security. I believe that. And that's a really good way of looking at it. It's kind of flipping that concept and learn how to say no first, and then you'll learn how to say yes. I know people that everything that comes up, there's always some good fun money maker, something, they're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. But they don't stay in it long enough to really learn it. And they're constantly hopping from one thing to the next, to the next. So the concept of learning to say no first and then building up to the yes. I like that concept. I do.
There's a few more in there. And the thing is, the type of people you describe, they may make a decision to go after the shiny penny. Then they may take action. But the persistence isn't there. Mm-hmm. Neither is that feeling of gratitude either. So, or because they're chasing after the money or the shiny pennies, what is happening is they're opening themselves up to more, I call them shiny Sputniks, shooting at them. And they get lost, they get overwhelmed, and they're not sure which way to go. Because they didn't have certainty about what they wanted in the first place.
I like that. Now you've had a lot of success in this method. So, and you've been in education. I was reading your bio for 27 years or how many years was it?
No. When I was 15, I learned judo, and I thought that was 1976. No, I was 15. 1976. So I was, in terms of education, judo opened new types of learning for me. I learned about breathing and the power of breathing after the first training session when I got beaten up. And I learned to meditate. And then my coach who took me on, he taught me so much. I then wanted to teach judo and coach judo. I also knew in the 1970s that education was valuable to take you to places you wanted to go, but I didn't know what sort of education. But in the end, I did a geography degree. I got qualified in judo, reached national standards, and taught judo across the world. And then I became a teacher. I did a teaching qualification after my coaching qualification in 1983 to 1984. And from 1983, after teaching judo, I then shifted to teaching 11 to 16-year-olds, as well as teaching judo. And then in 2015, after 30 years experience, not just in teaching, but in management as well, and creating courses of all sorts of things, I left that. But then I progressed in my 50s to recruiting and training volunteers in advocacy. So the education continually comes through. So when I started to learn about property, I thought, I'm a teacher, I'm going to apply what I learned, and I'm going to challenge all my beliefs of last century in this. So I started like an enthusiastic, curious child, started from nothing really.
Well, I'm glad that you said that. How is it? What would you say about approaching? I like that you said you approach it as a curiosity, as a child's curiosity. How is that? Has that made you be more successful because you went in there like, okay, I'm going to be curious about all this and how it works? Did that help make you successful, or is at any time were you kind of a skeptic?
Okay, all the way through my career, from about 2000, well, no, from the beginning, I used to analyze data about success, retention, achievement, learner satisfaction. And the thing about success is, if you do not know what it looks like, and you do not know what it feels like, how can you achieve it? So from the start, I identified what success felt like and looked like for me as it's happening. So I experienced it once, and that was based on, the power of leverage, basing it on lots of other things that I'd done. And then once I knew what I wanted to do, I set out a 2-year plan, but then I took action for the next 3 months. So a 2-year plan was there, but that's as far as I could see. And in my naivety, what I thought was successful then actually is that shifting sand, because as I got better at what I did and became more confident, I achieved more, made more wins, I suddenly saw more, my mind opened. And as I mixed with more people that were successful in lots of different things, business and property mindset, I suddenly realized that what I'd started at the beginning, my definition of success, was limiting me. So I began to shift the goalpost. But I always, whenever I made a decision, I committed to it. I took action in an aligned way. I kept the promise, and I persisted until successful. I say persisted because within that process, there are things that shoot out and hit you that you don't even expect to happen. So it's about also being open, so that I call it, you can pirouette like a ballerina. Because if something like that, and there's lots of stories I can tell, something happens, you don't carry on regardless as you are. You take a 360 degrees, look at it all, you weigh up the evidence, and you make a decision about the next steps. And sometimes it's got to be like that. Sometimes it may take longer.
I think that's powerful.
Yeah, it all feeds in to my highest values, my mission, my purpose, my North Star, so that it's going to happen.
I think that's powerful because one of the things that you said was that you aligned with people who were successful. And I think that's very powerful because a lot of times we go in naively. And I also like that you said what success looks like to you. Success looks different to all of us, no matter what field you're in, whether it's buying property, real estate, whether it's publishing. Success is going to look different. But I like the fact that you said what it looked like to you until you surrounded or aligned yourself with people who are successful. Then you were able to broaden your mind and your scope of success begin to grow. So I think that's really powerful. How was it? So you said you had a mentor. You got a mentor in the field that you were in, or just a successful mentor? How important is that, or is there a difference?
The thing about a mentor, it's not just about the subject. It's also about, do you get on with them? And it might be that you are aligned, but you don't like what they tell you because they tell you the truth. But they have to care about you. You know, if you invest in a mentor, the thing about having a mentor is you say what you're going to do and you do it. Okay. And ideally, they want to invest in you as well afterwards. So when I said I was going to do something, I was going to do something. And every mentor has trodden the path of some kind. And they can see right through you, through your bullshit, through your lies, through your stories. And the better your stories are that are lying, or you believe them, the more they'll see it. And they'll spot patterns. And at one point, I mean, I had this particular mentor, and it was partly in lockdown, I think for 18 months. And about month, it was probably about 14, 15, he said, "Hey, Sharon," he said, "you're like a record. You're like that needle in that record player with so much fluff around you. Why don't you get out the groove?" And I knew what it was that was holding me back. He saw it. He'd been very kind to the point, and he said things, but he just came out and said it, and I had to dig deep then. I got more mentors and coaches then, because there were things that I needed to do. Going right back to childhood, I hadn't realised were holding me back. The shadow, when that event happened, my shadow hid things, and when I was in trouble, it used to pop up, get me in trouble.
You said you got so basically your mentor after 14 months said after how long?
Well, at the beginning, he said, "I can't teach you anything, Sharon. You know what you want. You know what you're doing." And as I said, "Well, I'll go buy a house then." So I then pushed myself further and further. But the same pattern emerged, and he was nudging me and said, "Sharon, why don't you change it? Why don't you just take a different approach?" It was like, I've got to say it.
Uh-oh. All right. Well, we are talking to Sharon, and it looks like we got disconnected. And let's bring her back to the stage. Hey, we got disconnected there for a second. You were saying, so after a little while you were going in a certain direction and it kept bringing you back to the same place. So he said, hey, why don't you change direction? Do you think that was a little bit of fear of success, maybe?
No, I was quite happy with things, but he saw something, and it was at the time. It was in 2020 in lockdown, uh, early to middle of 2020. My dad was dying.
Oh.
I had to put it in the care home, and
Mm-hmm.
I was revisiting the point where, and when somebody dies and you're facing death,
Mm-hmm.
kind of reminiscent thoughts come in, and I was beginning to realise through the other coaching that I was doing and the book writing, which was quite cathartic, there was something deeper. It was deeper than this. And that's the thing about property. You're not just committing your time, your energy, money, you're committing your money as well. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of emotional attachment with money. But this ran deep, and I was able to face it and accept it. And it's those things that happen to you as a child. You don't realise the operating system that's working within you until you begin to realise. And that's what was happening.
So what was the turning point that made you go from education? I know educating teenagers, that's universal. What was the turning point that you decided to go fully into property investing?
Okay, then, right. I used to teach teenagers,
Hmm.
geography was the main subject, between 1985 to 2001.
Hmm.
In 1985, when I used to teach children, in my first couple of weeks after the honeymoon period was over with those horrible boys, you've got to think this was 1985, so there was no internet. I realised I needed to relax myself more, so I learned reflexology. I used to try it on people, and then I become qualified. And then in the 90s, I had children. And suddenly, what happened when I had the two children in 95 and 98, I realised I wasn't understanding what's happening. I was really depressed.
Hmm.
And because it was like I was trying to do everything, and I
Hmm.
just couldn't do it and teach, lesson plan, look after the kids. So I paid my childminder to look after something I really wanted to do. So in 2001, I left mainstream teaching. But in 1994, I became qualified in reflexology. No, 91. And in 94, I started to teach reflexology. So I had my own practice as well. So I was adding to it, and I was just getting more and more stressed. So I went to the doctor in 99 and I said, I need some help. And he offered me some nice little drugs to keep me calm. I went, no, I want to talk to somebody. So there was a counsellor. I had one session with him, and he recommended a book called Shooting the Monkey. And he introduced me to the term emotional attachment to the outcome. And then a few more things came up. So in 2001, I took a chance. I left the mainstream teaching. I opened up my own reflexology business, committed to it. But I also started to manage tutors and help them as well.
Hmm.
But it was in 2011 when the British government announced to women of my age, that were the baby boomers, that their pension age was going to be knocked back to 66.
Hmm.
And it was only when, around 2008, when my mum died and a few years afterwards, I realised that, hey, look, I could not survive on a pension,
Hmm.
my teacher's pension. I'd have to wait a long time for my 66 for my other pension. So I began to explore other options.
Hmm.
And in November 2016, when my kids had more or less left home, I sat on the toilet one November morning. It was wet and miserable, and there were other things going on. I said, something's got to change. Something's got to change. I need something. And later that day, when I was at work, I saw this advert for a property investing seminar. So I went that week, and I'd gone from not feeling anything and a void and depressed to feeling something. So I began to explore, and then in February, I made a decision in 6 weeks. By the 1st of January 2017, I would choose to change my life by investing in property, a business, or carry on as I am. Stop being so miserable. So it was 11:50 p.m. on the 31st of March 2017, I made the decision to change my life through property investing. And the next day I set out a plan, and I just stuck to the plan and tweaked it as I went along.
I like that. So you said something. How are you emotionally committed to the process? Explain what you mean by that.
The process of property investing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was emotionally attached to what I was doing, and there was lots going on in my life, and my income was lower than my outgoings. And one of my highest values is choice. And I had no choice in my life. I was helping everybody else, but not my own, not myself. So I realized I needed to do something different. What's that saying? If you've always done what you've always done, you're
gonna always get what you've always gotten. Yes.
And the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again,
for different results.
Different. So I thought I need to do something. So I paid £1,000 for a 3-day property investing course. Then they wanted £20,000 to £30,000 to progress.
Wow.
Then I'm into the world of sales, and it's like a new world. And I saw these millionaires, and I thought, I want to do that, but I haven't got that money. I did ask for some people if they'd lend me money, but they said no. So I thought I'd do it my own way. And I told the teacher at the time on the Sunday, I can't commit to it. And he went, okay, then I failed. I said, no, you haven't. I said, why haven't you failed? Why have you failed? He said, well, I've not sold you the course. And I went, that's fine. I said, I will succeed. And then he gave a little talk at the end. He said, for those of you that are continuing with us, like £20,000 to £30,000, congratulations. You're in a community where we'll help people. For those of you that haven't, you think you've learned or not, but you haven't. You've not even touched the surface. And for those of you that are doing it on your own, beware. You're more dangerous now than you were when you came here on Friday. So I realised that I needed to do my ABC then. Look at my assets, look at my beliefs, and look at my community. And that was part of the plan. And that's what I did. So I committed. I gave it 2 years. I thought, I'll give it 2 years, because if you think a college course before your dissertation is 2 years.
Right.
In England, at the age of 15, 16, you do a 2-year course. Then you do A-levels. Then your degree, you're 2 years, and then you do your interesting things, what you're interested in. So I thought, why not do it like a 2-year course, do my own curriculum, apply what I know to help me. So I thought, even if it going gets tough, I'll still keep going, because it's going to happen. And if it doesn't, on my deathbed, I can always say I'm glad I did, rather than I wish I had. And
that's amazing. So you didn't continue in the 20,000 pound class. You did the work. You did the work, you did the research, and you gave it time to learn what you needed to learn. You know what? That's a really positive thing. And it's powerful, because there are sometimes somebody told me once before, everything's negotiable. Right? So if you can't do this, it doesn't mean that you have to give up. Then try something else. Try someone else. Talk about it. Research. Go to the library. Go to do your research, and you can achieve what it is you want. And it may take longer. Who knows? It may take longer, but if you don't try, you'll never know. So I absolutely love that. So Sharon, tell people how they can purchase your book.
It's on Amazon. It's called The First Place. There we are.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The First Place. And the author you will probably find is Alex Sapala, with me, Sharon Griffiths. His name is first. It begins with an A. And it also has the Property Investing Beginners Mastermind, Volume 1 and 2. But if I send you the link, will that be okay?
Yes, you can. You can absolutely send the link. And Sharon, do you do coaching? What if there's somebody who wants to do coaching with you? Do you offer that?
I do offer it. But the first thing that I usually do is I usually ask them, what can I help you with? Because as we know, when we coach people, sometimes we're not the right fit, and it has to be mutual. It's no good me having somebody to coach if they're not coachable.
That's
which is
right.
so important. So I have created my link tree, which I can send you the link of as well. And on it, I have put where you can get the books. I put loads of resources I have created and co-created since 2017 and before to help people create more of what they want in their life. And they can go and look at that, do what they want with it, share it with other people. It's my gift to the world. My investment, it's part of my personal development and personal mastery. I have invested, although I said I didn't invest in the training, I did. I've invested a lot more than £30,000 in my training. Okay. But to do that by cathartically dumping it and creating it and working, collaborating with experts in the field, that helps other people decide what is right for them. And if they come back to me, we then take it from there.
You know what? I like that. I thank you so much for sharing the story, because what you have said has been such those are gems, because a lot of times people quit before they can get anywhere, and it gets too hard. It's too hard. I can't do it. And then there are people, I call them communication noises. There are people that are talking and say, why do you want to do that? You know, or you could have done this, you could have done that. So it goes back to, what does success look like for you? And so you can go through and you can, I believe you can achieve any goal that you want to, but you have to want it bad enough. How do you want it?
What your reason, your purpose has to be so much bigger than you. We move towards pleasure away from pain. So for me, in the early stages, I created so many challenges and so much pain. I had to jump over them. I had to jump over the hoop to make me decide if I wanted it more. I had to create that feeling inside. And that's the thing about, it's a bit like if you're a parent and you've got a child and that child's in the river, if you're fearful of swimming, you will overcome that fear to get to that child.
That's right.
To save them. And it's like creating something that's so much bigger than you. And that's why I created the link tree, because one of my highest values is helping people and helping with choice so that they can create more than what they want. My mission is bespokely connecting people to opportunities. My vision is connecting curious people worldwide so everybody is empowered and inspired to create their own shappiness. And shappiness is a combination of success and happiness. Because even though we may know what success looks like and feels like for us, we might not be happy with it. We might be bloody miserable in our success. So it has to incorporate happiness.
Now, how are you spelling shappiness?
Shappiness is happiness with an S at the front. Success. I could have had successiness, but shappiness. And when I was writing one of these,
I like that.
When I was writing one of these books or one of these books, I said to Paul D. Lowe, who was my coach at the time, I was talking about happiness because, again, I was exploring what had made me sad as a child, and it was that event when I was 9 years old. And I said, walking back to happiness, shappiness, success. And he went, walking back to shappiness. And he started to sing the Ellen Shapiro song, or the Ken Dodd one, shappiness. So it was kind of a fun thing that evolved in the pain.
I like that. You know what? And it matters too, because that also determines, you know, the level of comfort you have. You know, when I believe that with publishing, with pay-per-view publishing, I'm all about the story, and I love helping people, because when you help them tell their story, you can see the breakthrough. You can see the breakthrough from, you know, the internal turmoil. Even with myself, the more I talk about my story, sometimes people might say, oh, she's always talking about her story, but that's healing for me. And then the people that I reach, they're like, wow, I didn't know that you were going through that, or you've been through this. And I didn't think that I could get through that. But now that I see your story, then I can too. So it makes a world of difference. That's why when people write their stories, and when you with first place, then it gives people an understanding that, you know what, this is doable. This is something I can do. And just, hearing your story, you could have said, okay, you know what, I don't have the money, I don't have that, so I'm done. I'm done. But you didn't. You were like, okay, no. You invented a way for you to meet the goals that you set. And you set realistic goals. That was great. Realistic goals. Sometimes we're microwave, especially. So I'm not a baby boomer. I think I'm a Generation X. I think that's the Generation X. I will be 55 in October. So, but the generation now, it's like a microwave generation. They want it quick, want it right now, want it quick. They don't want to work for it. They want to create something that's going to give them all of the money that they want right now. And so it isn't unfortunately they see some of that happening, but it isn't longevity. It's temporary. So doing the work matters, and the success comes. So, but it's what success looks like for you. So I am so glad that you came and you shared your story. And tell people, Sharon, how can they reach you?
How can they reach me? On my website.
Okay, and we can put the link
I,
up there.
I'll put the link on the website. They can reach me, or they can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm Sharon Griffiths. I have a picture of me with these books behind, 3 of these. Or Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I've got into the modern world. You know what you say about the children. They saw the children of my generation, your generation. They didn't see that, for the ones that had parents. They didn't see what we did, and they only saw the results of what they did. What's that saying in the psychology of money? Tails you win. They do not see everything. They only see what they realise. Still, and they are often limiting factors. So for me, this is why I put lots of resources like this to enable people to see about the importance of mind power, decision, action, persistence. It's like a martial art. I did judo. I got my black belt. It took me 3 years to get my black belt. Anybody that's good at anything, or a child that's a swimmer that's good at it, they know what it takes to be good.
Yes.
But only by going through that experience will you feel that and be it. Through what you do, you become.
I like that. I like that. Well, Sharon, thank you so much. Time flies when you're having fun, I tell you. Thank you so much for being here. And listen, I'm going to post the link, Sharon. I'm going to post your link so that people can contact you. And listen, go to Amazon, purchase her books. And she doesn't just have the first place. What was the other book you have? What did it say? My heart.
There is Speaking from the Heart.
Speaking from the Heart. Go online and what's that? Mastering the Game of Life too.
Yeah,
that's part 2.
We have Mastering the Game of Life, released in November 2020.
Okay.
Then until March 2022, we had 10 Speaking from the Heart books released. And then we had the book, what's it? The book thing at the end. That was Mastering the Game of Life 2. So there were 14 books produced. And those books are anthologies with people like we're describing that have faced and overcome challenges. So it's not just it's all aspects of life. And that's aligned to the World Game Changers, CIC, who you can see on the internet as well.
Well, awesome. I'll put those links up. I'll share those links with you. So if you're listening live, or if you catch it on replay, I'll post the link so you can reach out, go to Amazon, purchase Sharon's books, the anthologies, and the first place on property, investing in property. And listen, the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. If you don't invest in you, nobody else will. Don't chase investing in other things and you don't invest in yourself. Okay. So listen, this has been My Heart on Pages. My guest, Sharon Griffith. She is talking about the why behind her story. And listen, 100% of everybody living and dead has a story. So if you are wanting to share your story and you don't know how to get started, we can help you get started. We can help you take your story from a thought to a realization, no matter where you are in the story writing process. You have a story, don't know how to get started, we can help you get started. If you have already started and you find yourself stuck, we can help you get stuck. I tell you, Sharon has given some gems to help you get unstuck in anything in life. And if you've already written your book and you're ready to publish it, we can help you with that. We can provide some feedback as well as some editing and help you get your story from a thought to a realization. And listen, if you guys are looking for projects, are you wanting to be the difference that makes a difference, then reach out to PayPro Publishing. We have some anthology projects coming up. Sharon, I'm going to send you the information. You may want to take a look at that. It is, the one is called Our Journey from Girls to Women. Ooh. Lessons we learned along the way. And we have a second, our part two men's book. This is the first book, Our Journey from Boys to Men anthology. So we are working on part two, lessons we learned along the way. And if you are a veteran, we have anthologies. We want your stories. We want to know your soldier story. So reach out to PayPro Publishing, payprovpublishing.com, and we can get you some information and you can be the difference that makes a difference. I stole that saying from David Patterson. All right. Well, Sharon, give us one final tip before we go on investing. And it can be investing in property or investing in yourself. What's one tip that you would give to somebody who is looking to start investing?
Okay. For any type of learning, if you remember when I was a child, I thought it was education, but I didn't realize what. The more clarity you have about what success means for you in terms of what it feels like and looks like, you can achieve it. And if you have these little doubts come in your head or the thoughts, say, how can I overcome that? And the mind's job is to think thoughts and answer questions. And there's ways of doing that, but I think that, or in the books, you've got lots of top tips there.
Yes, get the book, guys. Get the book. Thank you so much, Sharon. It has been a plump, pleasing pleasure. Better than a triple decker peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, guys, until next time, have an amazing day. Sharon, hang around for me for a minute before you hang up. And you guys, until next time, be blessed.
Thank you.